Welcome to another episode of Darby Racing Podcast, part of the series, and today's podcast all about the European stayers, the rise
imports.
and rise of the European import, and
How
we had some success with them?
how successful are they, and how popular are they? Our owners love them, and yeah, we've had an incredible ride with Hubie. Between ourselves and Hubie de Burgh, who's one of the best bloodstock agents in the world. We're blessed to have him on board, but between all of us, we managed to source these incredible horses, and the owners are just loving it. So are we.
Well, you'd have to give some credit to the probably the early pioneers of people bringing them in, and one would be our opposition, Australian Bloodstock.
Yeah,
They've done a great job in winning Melbourne Cups.
yeah.
And they're one of the first, well, definitely one of the first indicators to bring them in. Chris Waller sort of paved the way early days.
Yeah, I remember early days we were battling Chris in a couple of horses, and he obviously outbid us.
So we'll go through how we got started in it, some of our success, and really these days go through the form guide. And if you don't have an import stayer, you're just not in the game.
No, you're not.
Like, seriously.
No.
You just pick up any form guide, look at any race 2,000 metres plus,
Yeah.
and it's just full of European stayers.
Yeah.
If
Nevertheless, going to the big game, the big dance in the Melbourne Cup, and it's just you've struggled to find Australian horses in there, like as in Australian bred horses.
Bit like in the day, it used to be all about the New Zealand stayer, which is still prominent.
Yeah, absolutely.
But look, we started out small. We didn't know if we would have a market for it.
No, yeah, it was harder for us early days, and that's a lot of those earlier horses we struggled because we just didn't know. We're finding our feet, finding our way in.
Probably started 6 years ago.
Yeah.
6 years ago, one of my ideas that you hate come out and said, I think we really need to get involved in the European stayers. And I remember you vaguely looking at me like I'm mad. Like, let's just stick to what we know.
How are we going to get an import? Because we didn't know Hubie at that point.
No,
we didn't know
Hubie de Burgh from de Burgh Equine is the man we used to source our European stayers. Yeah. And how did that come about? Well, I come up with that harebrained idea that we need to get involved, and I was right, So I get them right sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes, that's right.
Maybe you were just mortified, like, well, can't we just stick to what we're doing? We're doing well, Yeah. It's probably 6 years ago.
Yeah, something.
Made a phone call to James Harron, who I got to know.
Right. Yeah.
I said, James, I want to try importing a stayer over. Where do I go?
Yeah.
And because he worked under Hubie de Burgh from de Burgh Equine, he put me on to Hubie. It's the best thing he ever did.
Isn't it? What we're blessed to get on to Hubie, because he's brilliant.
Our first horse that we imported with Hubie, we missed a few. We missed a number
of them.
We didn't have a huge budget.
Again, that was Chris Waller knocking us out on different horses, and we just...
And I was really jittery because you didn't know whether you're going to be able to syndicate them. You couldn't fall back on the sales company.
No.
Like we've got the relationship with Magic Millions in English, who give you terms to sell them.
Yep. Yeah, that's the difference with the stayers, isn't it? You got to pay for them up front.
Pretty much.
Yep.
A little bit of terms now these days with the Tattersalls and whatnot, but
not back then.
But private sales, for example, which we've also got involved with now, buying them privately off the track, you've got to have the money straight up front, pretty much.
Yeah.
Might get a week or so if you're lucky.
Yeah.
So we met Hubie de Burgh, and he sounded pretty good from the moment I phoned him, and it took us a while to actually purchase one, which was good that Hubie wasn't just steering us into anything.
No.
We bought a mare off the track, Aga Khan mare.
Well, because we just couldn't get the foot in the door with the colts and geldings. So Hubie said, look, why don't we go left here, go left field, let's try a mare, because they won't be as popular as the colts and geldings.
Yep.
And that's where we branched into Isha.
Her name was Isha. 3 starts, 1 win, a second and a third.
Yep.
We're over the moon. We syndicated it very quickly, to our surprise. We had no idea how this was going to work.
She sold very quick.
But it was, it was good. I went down to the Hayes stable.
Yeah,
and unfortunately, it was a bit of a disaster.
Yeah, she was. Back problems, and she was
all sorts of problems.
Yeah.
So it wasn't a great start for us.
No.
But like on many occasions, I don't give up.
No.
That's one thing I don't do.
Yep.
And I think the second year of syndicating...
The second year was still struggling because he couldn't get the foot in the door. That's when Hubie came up with the idea of let's buy yearlings.
Was actually my idea again.
Yours, was it?
Yeah.
Right.
I
Yeah.
said to Hubie, what about if we go left field
And go
yearlings.
yearlings.
Staying yearlings? So yearlings don't pay a lot of money, but they've got to have the staying pedigree.
Yep.
And you've got to like the horse, Hubie. So
Yep.
we purchased 4 yearlings
Yeah.
and broke them up into just the purchase of the horse and
Yep.
then the flight to get them out, which is quite expensive to fly them out. You're talking 35 to 40,000
just to
get them out here.
Yeah.
That's where a lot of the costs come.
Yeah. Yeah,
So-
so when people say, yeah, but you bought it for 100, and it's like, because it costs about 40,000 just to bring them here. And then the import GST,
Yep.
that's massive. So it's money that doesn't come into his pocket. It
Yeah.
goes straight into everyone else's pockets.
So that turned out to be a winner. We bought 4 horses.
4, was it 4?
4
Calm
horses.
the fight, once we lost, so he rocks. No, we bought 5.
5.
We bought 5. Yeah, and there was a few that weren't much chop.
Should have stopped at the first sale. Let me tell you, the first sale, we went to this very small sale called Osiris, which is gaining momentum now.
Right.
And Hubie went there and he said, look, we'll just pick the eyes out of the sale here
Yep.
before going to the bigger yearling sales. And we happened to pick 2 of, well, they were clearly the 2 best
Yeah.
in that second year in
Yeah.
True Marvel.
Yep, True Marvel.
Paid, I think,
Or
17,000
€16,000
euros.
or- yeah,
Yep.
not much, not a lot.
And Canasta.
Canasta. Yep.
Paid 30,000 for him.
Yep.
And both of those have been
Phenomenal.
great money spinners.
Phenomenal.
True Marvel, Group 1 placed in the Sydney Cup.
Yep. Stakes performer. Canasta's
won a
multiple
stack
city
of money.
winner.
He's even won a hurdle race now.
I know.
He's still
Incredible.
going. He's trying to get into the Melbourne Cup.
I think he's still got the record of the longest win. I think he won by 16 lengths at Moonee Valley.
He did. We'll
I
send
think it's- I
Dave
think
the
it's a
footage of
record
it
that
to
broke
put
the
on.
record.
You have a look at this.
Yeah.
16 lengths at Moonee Valley.
Incredible.
Over 3,800, was it?
Something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was a true
Proper star.
His pedigree wasn't good. Remember, it
Yep.
wasn't strong at all. But I remember it was a staying pedigree. There was 3,000 plus metre horses in there, 4,000 metre horses.
By a stallion called Masked Marvel, who's actually a very good producer of hurdlers over there in
Yeah.
UK at the moment. So he may end up in the hurdle and steeple game, but at the moment he's running too well. I think he run 3rd in the
Yeah.
Brisbane Cup,
Yep.
2nd in the Sydney Cup,
Just
and
a
we're
warrior.
trying to qualify him for the Melbourne Cup.
Absolute war
So
horse.
$16,000 euro
Yeah.
yearling purchase,
Yep.
and he's been a fantastic
Well,
money spinner.
He's 757,000 in prize money he's made.
Just a
Incredible.
war horse.
Incredible.
Canasta, multiple city winner,
Yep.
paid 30,000
Yep.
euros for him.
Yeah.
So that was our
bold front runner.
early success
Yep.
that we needed. We needed
Yep.
to get on the map.
Yep.
It was a bit of a rocky start with Isha,
Yep.
but where it really took an upward turn was the following
The
year.
next year, bang.
Bang, bang.
Yeah.
Spirit Ridge
And Harper.
and Harpo Marks.
Yeah.
Now, Spirit Ridge came to Australia with a fairly good rating. I think we paid 100,000, so we really upped the
Upped
budget,
Yeah.
100,000 euros.
Yeah.
And he hit the scene here in Australia with a bang. Under Mark Newnham,
Yeah.
his first start here in Australia, won at Randwick midweek.
No, yeah, he won at Kensington.
Yep.
That's right. It was a good
And-
win too.
And I think he went on that preparation, was it? And
No, he
won-
went for a spell after that.
That's right.
Then he come back.
And won stakes races.
Yep. Yep.
He's still racing today.
Still another war horse.
I think you said we looked at his form.
He's
He's
had 12.
stakes performances, including I think 3 stakes
Yeah,
wins
he's incredible.
and 9 other stakes
He's
placings.
freakish. He is freakish.
He's
Spirit
been
Ridge.
a great horse.
Absolutely.
Great horse.
And what's he? He's 835,000 in prize money. So what a horse! Like and he was hard to syndicate. Can you believe that? He was hard to syndicate because he was a little bit more expensive than what we were used to. But you've got to pay that bit of money, guys, to get into these quality of horses. You're buying into horses that they've already raced. You're already getting a look at form. You've got one of the best bloodstock agents in the world picking them. He's got inside knowledge on some of these horses. We're putting our knowledge together to select these horses. So while they're a little bit more expensive, this can be the outcome.
Well, just touching on Hubie de Burgh and his record of importing horses, which before us, he certainly imported a lot for OTI, for Gay,
Melbourne Cup winners,
Fiorente.
He's so many horses.
I think he's imported something like 3 or 4 Group 1 winners in his time.
He's incredible.
He really knows his stuff. He's a great fella.
Brilliant.
We have a lot of laughs with Hubie. He's a funny man.
And bought for sheiks and kings and queens, and like
he just loves what he does.
Yep.
He lives and breathes it. He has a good time with it.
Yep.
He's a funny man, but when it comes to the buying side, he's deadly serious.
Yep.
And he steered us into some great buys. Yep. Another one that year, Harpo Marks, who started very slowly under Bjorn Baker. Yep. Thought we might have a very long distance slow horse, but he just got better and better and better and better. And they came out together, and it looked like, for people that could have bought into either of those, it looked like Spirit Ridge was going to be the one. He was killing it.
Yeah.
But as time went on, Harpo Marks, he started to get the better of Spirit Ridge. In fact, they clashed together.
They did.
Which we'll put up on the screen here in the Group 3. In a Group 3 race, Kembla Grange, and they fought the finish out with Harpo getting over the top. Premier's Cup.
Yeah, Premier's
It was
Cup.
in the COVID era where they shifted it from Rosehill to Kembla.
You can see the jockeys have got masks on. Yeah.
But he was just starting to get to his peak, Harpo Marks. He by Galileo.
Group 1 placed.
Out of a Group 1 winning mare that we paid, I think about 60,000 euros for.
Yeah.
And he ended up being a Group 1 place getter.
Yeah, won over $500,000 in prize money.
Our illustrious racing manager Lauren Wadsworth took a small share in him. She loved him when we picked him up. And
tragically took career cut short with injury.
But he could have ended up being a Group 1 winner. He was getting better and better.
Yep.
He was headed towards a Tilda Melbourne Cup.
Yep. Well, he was heading towards the Melbourne Cup. Never had a issue in his life, and they X-rayed him, scanned him. Remember that, because it's now with all the protocols and that go into the ban the cup, nup to the cup, and all that stuff and all that crap that goes on. They take precautionary scans of all the horses, and he come up with a chip or a defect. It was like, what? This
could have been there
never had an issue in
his whole life, but
he'd been racing with it, nothing anyway. So that was.
So he had to end up retiring. Now Lauren's got him, in the paddock and just
Lauren's
loving him.
give him a good home.
Yep.
The owners were happy to give him to Lauren. So that was a good story.
So, look, it's been a great ride thus far with the European stayers, and we're getting more and more confident with the type of horse we need to import, the form.
Yep.
They don't necessarily have to be winning group races.
No.
We don't pay huge money. I mean, the average price of some of these European stayers that they're importing in Australia are up around 150, 200,000 euros. We've paid no more than 100.
Yeah.
And I think at this stage, Mark, I think I've got the stats here. We've imported 19 European horses that have raced.
Yep.
And 9 or 10 of those are either Saturday winners or better.
Yeah, well, I did some stats this morning, actually. Out of those 19, we've had 15 provincial wins, 20 city wins, and 20 stakes performers out of that. So that's 19 horses, but we're talking as well. You've got to throw in there the early days with the Eachers and when we're feeling our way and you're not 100% sure and you're going left field and right. And so that includes a number of horses early days that we were kind of feeling our way. Plus there's other horses like Fleet Commander and Highness and Man Behind the Money and Our Anchorage. They haven't even had a chance to...
They've only just started their
racing.
They've
only just kicking off. They could be anything as well. So
strike rate on these is unrivaled, really.
Well, then
you think about it.
You've got Father's Day, who's he's a promising horse. Iowa's a winner. King Frankel's a stakes winner. Like there's just so many.
King Frankel, good story there. He was a private buy.
Yep.
I think they were looking for 200,000 euros. And Hubie'd been following him, and he said he'd been following him because he had the full brother who ended up winning a Group 1. So he'd been following the horse.
Start in New Zealand.
And he tried to buy him, and they wanted 200,000. He said, "No, that's out of our budget.
Yeah.
He knew that. But he was with a trainer that Hubie said really gets stuck into him and goes too long with him. And
That's right.
he'd been racing super.
Yeah.
And then he started tapering off, and Hubie saw a bit of an opportunity. Then he raced him again, and he really tapered his last 3 or 4 starts.
Yeah.
So Hubie, to his credit, thought this is an opportunity to try and get the price down. It's owned by a big sheik.
Yeah.
He went in and they said, he was looking for 150 for him. He said, his form's no good. And he rang me and he said, listen, I reckon if we might be able to get this horse at 120,000.
Be able to barter him down.
He said, they want 150. They wanted 200 not long ago. And he said, I really think this horse just needs a good spell. He's got a lot of ability. And he said, what about we offer him 120? I said, no, go and offer him 90. And he goes, you won't get it at 90. You won't get it at 90. He said, they wanted 150. I said, go and offer him 90. He come out and he said, well, I don't know what you've been smoking.
I don't know how you did it.
They've accepted the 90,000. I'm like, sweet. So that was King Frankel, and he turned up. Hubie was right. He looked like a greyhound when we got him.
They'd wrung him dry.
He was, and this is the beauty of Hubie. It's not not just his good eye for a horse, his form.
Yeah.
It's who he knows.
He knows
so
the
many
game.
People.
And the good thing with Hubie is Hubie's got such a big name in the industry. When he asks people when he's sourcing information, they ain't going to lie to him.
Yeah,
they're not going, because if you do the wrong thing by Hubie de Burgh, it's not a good.
Mark,
not a good look.
He knows people in the stables.
Yep.
He'll often slip them a little bit of money to get the right information.
He gets the old inside tip. I know all you like the inside tip.
Well, King Frankel was an example of that. He spoke to the Forminal track rider and he said, I'm telling you, Hubie, he's gone way too long with this horse.
Yep.
He was done 3 starts ago.
Yeah.
He needs a good spell.
Yeah.
So that's when he comes to me and said, look, we might be able to get him cheaper. And so we gave him a good time off here. We gave him to Mark Newnham and the rest is history. He came out, I think, at his 2nd starter in Australia and bolted it at Newcastle.
Yeah.
Mark set him for an ambitious first up tilt last time in the Parramatta Cup. He won that.
Yep.
Then ran 3rd in a Group 1.
Yep.
And then he probably had enough by the time he got to the Sydney Cup and jury's out whether he'd run 3,200. And Mark's obviously left. We're now with Annabelle, and as we do this podcast, he's heading to his 2nd start this prep en route to a Caulfield Cup. So
and she's training him different.
Very different.
Mark trained him sharper.
Yep.
To go early, whereas Annabelle's training him,
building him up to peak.
Yep. She's building him to a grand final rather than setting him early. Like
again, terrific money spinner for the owners, $90,000.
Yeah.
Purchase and look, when we compare them to the yearlings. And the strike rate of, buying a yearling at a sale and trying to get them to good races. It's no wonder these Europeans are so popular.
So appealing.
They're excelling here in Australia.
Yeah.
We aren't paying a huge amount of money and they're winning good races.
Yeah.
I mean, the first goal when we buy a European and we're paying, 50,000, 60, 100,000, whatever we've paid, is to get them to that Saturday level.
Yeah, that's right.
Because the prize money's so huge. But generally, if you can get them to that Saturday level, they're probably good enough to win even at listed level in some of those cups. You've got all those country cups and whatnot. So.
Well, the good thing too, with the prize money in Sydney, it's insane. Like, it's 80 grand to win on a Saturday. Like, it's crazy. Like, so, yeah, you get a Saturday win, you're away. Yeah, that's right. Especially the stayers. Now that we've gotten into the staying ranks, obviously Australia being the sprinting nation, like, it's so heavily dominated by sprinters. You get that good stayer like we've found with all these horses that we can rifle off. You get a good one, you can make a lot of money in the prize money.
Well, it was a really good compliment to the business. Derby Racing built its name on 2-year-old precocity. Winning the slipper, running 2nd in the slipper. I think we've had 9 runners in the slipper. So we're all about speed and early precocity. So to bring on the European stayers and have such success really complemented both ends of the spectrum. And they're very, very popular these days. And we'll touch on this year. we went to another harebrained idea by myself in that it's getting harder and harder to buy these and find them and secure them. Like everyone's doing it.
Yeah.
Hubie's working overtime to find the good young stayer.
Yeah.
So I came up with the idea this year. He was heading to the Ready to Run sales.
That's right.
And if you don't know the Ready to Run sales, they're broken in, they're educated to run up. Here in Australia, it's 200 metres.
200.
They clock them. You look at the action. Over there, it's over 400 metres.
A lot different over there.
But again, they're looking for the speed horse predominantly
Yeah.
to take from the sale. And I said, Hubie, what if we go to the sales, look for the staying pedigrees
Yeah.
with the idea that they're two, by the time they come here, they're going to actually be three because you lose about 6 months.
6 months, yeah.
I said, if we can find the right kind of 3-year-old stayer, even though they're probably 6 months behind ours, if we get them early enough, we might be a chance of having a crack at the autumn Derby or the winter Derby up in Brisbane.
Yeah.
And so this year we set out and actually found 2 lovely staying types for not a lot of money because they're there to find the speed.
Yeah, that's right.
One by Cracksman, who's now named Bank Heist with Michael Freeman, and a Glen Eagles filly named Scottish Pearl with Annabelle. And both of those are getting really positive feedback early days in their stable. So a little bit of a long shot, but
Another
something different, another left field.
Yeah.
To try and get well, at least we get to see their action. It's not like a yearling.
Yeah.
We get to see them gallop.
Yeah.
And that'll be very interesting to see how they go. I mean, look, if they don't make the Derby or the Oaks in the fillies' case, there's nothing lost. They're going to be stayers down the track.
Right.
But
yeah.
be a great story because, as older horses, they're running into all the Europeans and different.
Yeah.
But there wouldn't be too many European 3-year-olds going towards our Derby.
No.
And
No.
and Oaks.
That's all
So
Australian.
we'll see how we go, but it's going to be an interesting project, that one, and both showing some really good promise very early days. So
Yeah.
it's been a wonderful ride so far with the European stayers. Certainly, Hubie's on the lookout all the time. As I said, it's getting harder and harder. We've got the Tattersall sales coming up shortly, which is where we source most of them if we don't get them privately.
Yeah.
Where there's hundreds and hundreds of horses there to scour through, but we'll certainly be trying hard to find our next European stayer. Hopefully by then we've won a Group 1. We've come close with these European stayers. That Group 1 can't be far away.
Nah.
Who will it be, Mark?
Well, I remember when Goldman won Flemington, the Bob Hoisted. I remember watching it on racing.com and they gave us a massive rap on there. I remember when they were talking post-rap when he was coming to scale and they were saying about Darby Racing and, Darby Racing, one of the biggest syndicators in Sydney and, blah, blah, blah. And mainly, dominating the speed ranks and the Shewell Reigns and the speed horses, and that we've now branched into the stayers, and looks like they got one now going to the Melbourne Cup. So what a phenomenal effort from Darby Racing. And it's like, well, yeah, that's right. When they were talking about it, it was like, you can't help but feel that bit of pride. It's like, yeah, well, that's right. We can source the speed horses.
Yep.
Now we're getting on top of the stayers, and it's all before us.
And as we said earlier, if you're not importing from Europe,
you're not in the game.
You're not in the game. No. It's as simple as that.
And you're cutting a lot of time out for. I mean, while it would be great to source stayers in Australia, as in at the yearling sales, which they're scattered through, but the time that you got to wait for them, to get to that 3-year-old, like you're buying a yearling, you got to wait 2 years for it to get to the track. Like that's where the money comes in. That you're spending that bit more money, but if you're buying a yearling for 150,000 in Australia, by the time you get it at 70 odd grand a year, for another couple of years, we'll put 240,000 on top of the yearling purchase. You're not waiting those years to get to see what your yearling's going to do. You're buying into an established stayer already from overseas that you've also managed to watch it race, potentially watch it win, watch it perform well. It really is a no-brainer. If you're looking for a stayer, it's a no-brainer.
And a lot of our bigger prize money is from 2,000 metres plus.
That's
so
right.
it makes sense to
Yeah.
be in that game. Just seeing so many people at the races in, one recently, Man Behind the Money, who we only paid 30,000 for.
He's potentially a rising star.
Multiple city winner already, and he'll make stakes great.
Yeah,
I'm sure. He's a lovely horse, and just seeing so many happy owners because you haven't got to wait long.
No.
And they are so popular.
Yeah.
While we're putting this podcast together, it was only yesterday I purchased another one, Tommy Thug.
Yeah.
He'll go very quickly.
Yeah. I love that name, Tommy Thug.
He's just...
Great name.
Hubie de Burgh works so hard to find them. So many times...
He's another horse that Hubie sourced from the same trainer from Man Behind the Money.
Correct.
He knows the trainer. He knows him well. This is a guy that doesn't knock his horses around.
Yep.
He gives them time. He nurtures the horse, but he's all about trading horses as well.
Yep.
So if he can trade the horse, and we got onto Tommy Thug right before he's still a maiden, placed multiple times. If he'd have won a race, we wouldn't have got him.
I think the best thing about Hubie as well is, I'll put plenty of horses up to him that you might see. And
he'll say, nope.
No.
Oh, no, you don't want that one.
No.
Oh, right.
No, he's got a
I thought
very
it was a nice thought.
strong opinion.
Nope.
And as I said, the proof's in the pudding. 19 and 9 or 10 of them at Saturday and above.
Yeah.
That's a phenomenal strike rate.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
look, if you are about coming into a European stayer, just do it.
Yeah.
Just do it because the success level compared to, say, the yearlings, even though we'd love to win a slipper and we'd love to stand a stallion at stud, if you want a lot of fun racing in the middle distance and staying races, these are the way to go.
Absolutely.